You mentioned you grew up with the gene, entrepreneurial gene. You had a lemonade stand at 6 years old. You thought about franchising. You did franchise. You set this up on a street called Tingley Lane. Street.
Yeah, I mean, just so to make it clear for everyone, franchising was spending the whole day convincing my other friends to stand behind the lemonade stand so I could like pick up the cash at the end of the day.
Okay, and then you did a number of different things as well. You sold blow pops back in the day. You sang Christmas carols as a Jew.
Yes.
So how does a Jew and
that's Robbie Turning's favorite.
This is the favorite one.
Silent Night. I got it all. Go ahead.
Go ahead and sing a verse.
No, I'm done. That's all I got.
And this one is the one that I find most interesting. You picked flowers in your neighbor's yard, and then you went back and you sold them the same flowers. So how did you do that in particular? And are entrepreneurs who aren't born with the gene as successful as those who are born with the gene?
No, they're not. I mean, they're just not. And I'll jump to that part and I'll go back. Let me tell you why I believe that. I believe that anybody can get better at anything. But I do think talent is a real life thing. How can we not believe that? Back to me not wanting to go more verses, I promise you, if I sounded like fucking Aretha Franklin, I would have finished that song. Back to us talking about football, I promise you, if I was fucking Aiden Hutchinson, I'd be in the NFL.
That's my boy right there.
The best. To me, this concept that entrepreneurship is not a skill is a ludicrous one, if anyone believes it, which I don't think most people are confused by that. And so I believe everybody in this circle, I'm looking at everybody in the room right now, right? I believe 8 of us all got different things. And entrepreneurial talent is one of them. And by the way, somebody in this circle who's less successful entrepreneur than you and I might actually have it. I think having it also draws you to it, back to the bug in the light. But let me play devil's advocate. But they didn't put in the hours against that talent. Like my brother loves golf now over the last 10 years. He's so frustrated that I won't take it up because he knows that the 8 or 10 times I've played with him, and he knows by the other sports we play with each other, I'm probably more naturally gifted at golf than he is. Right? I have a more natural swing. My hand-eye coordination's better than AJ's. He's got better skill sets in basketball and things of that nature, but in purest form, I think if he was sitting here, he would say, because he says it all the time, so I know he believes it, Gary has more natural skill in it. But I've only played 10 times. He's played 10 times in the last month. He's better at golf. I think that people that do not have a ton of entrepreneurial natural talent can be incredibly successful entrepreneurs because they put in the work. But do I believe that if I was matched up with somebody who has less or more natural entrepreneurial talent, and we all put in the same amount of work, that there's a higher propensity that I would have that success? Yeah, I believe that. I think talent's part of the entrepreneurial equation.
And then selling flowers that you picked back to a neighbor.
That's, I love telling that story. It's actually one story. I only did it to one neighbor. She was the best. I probably understood she liked me so much that she was willing to buy her own flowers for me. But yeah, I mean, painting rocks. Like when you have nothing, you're trying to sell something. Even lemonade was a little bit of a stretch for me early on because my mom wouldn't want to buy lemonade mix. So, rocks. The biggest ones were washing car and shoveling snow. They were real gifts to me because they just required work. We had a hose, and so, but the flowers one, John next door, they were a very nice couple. They were right next door to us and she had flowers and yeah, one day I ripped some of them out of her yard and rang her doorbell and said, "Do you want to buy this?" And she did. I wish I had the video of that because I can't remember all the details. I have a funny feeling she had a funny smirk on her face and wanted to support me, which means a lot to me.
So at some point you got into baseball cards. We'll talk a little detail about that. Talk to us about when you were at John Adams Middle School and the first card show you had on Oak Tree Lane at the Jewish Community Center. Yeah, the 6th grade baseball card collecting club was transformational. Up until that point, there was a kid by the name of Eric Conrad that used to come. I didn't know about divorced parents back then, and I didn't even register me, but I was always like curious. I'm like, why is this guy only here in the summer?
because when I was in second grade, I was young, but he was the first one that introduced me to baseball cards. He wasn't even actually a baseball card collector. He liked building card houses. You know, like taking playing cards and building.
Yeah, we did those.
Yeah, you did those? So I would go over his house in the summer, we met him. He stayed inside more than we did. He was like less active outside, but he would stay inside and he would make card houses. I thought that was cool. And so I'd come over once a week or once every 2 weeks and build a card house with him. I was into sports. I loved the Yankees at that point. And I remember like yesterday, we're in his basement. He brings out his cards, but this time there's baseball cards too to make the card houses. And I was like, what is this? And that was like game changing, so cool. And then I remember he said we could get them at Krauser's. Krauser's was like a 7-Eleven in New Jersey. I promise your friend knows what it is. It was also on Oak Tree Road. We walked or took our bikes to Krauser's, and there they were, baseball cards. And I started buying them. And that was fine. And then again, another great New Jersey Edison story. There was a flea market on US 1, Route 1, the US 1 flea market. And me, my mom and my uncle and aunt went there to like pick up some groceries or something, just check it out. And there was a guy with a baseball card booth, caught my attention, and he had a price guide. And I begged my Uncle Misha to buy it for me, or my mom, one of them did. And now I came home and had a price guide. This is before Beckett, which is the big price guide. And it was CDM, I think, or something like that. Anyway, that was the first time I knew they were worth money. And I ran up to my room and looked up every baseball card I had. And like some of them worth like 30, and by the way, a card that I had being worth 35 cents was like striking fucking gold in Texas. I thought that was insane. And that started me getting really interested in 5th grade, and then 6th grade came and the tidal wave came. There was a baseball card collecting club. This was now 1986 when the whole card thing really started happening the first time in America. And that was the first big card boom. And I was in it. I was in it, affected by it. And then I did a card show at the JCC on Oak Tree Road. And I had the bug. And then the big one, the big first, that was like a half-ass card show. Like my friend really had the table. I kind of stopped by. My first card show was really me driving it was at the Phillipsburg Mall once I moved in 8th grade. That was 6th grade where I tasted it, but by 8th grade when I moved to to Hunterdon County, I did my own card show and crushed. I remember being petrified because the table's like $150 or something like that.
280.
Thank you. And it was a lot of money. And my dad said it'll be a good experience. Everybody in the family thought I was going to lose. And I had a great first day and made all my money back the first day. And I would argue from that moment on, I've never looked back. I would say Phillipsburg Mall, 1989, card show. When I made that money that weekend, when I was good, when I could tell that I was better than the grown men around me at selling cards, that was it. I've never really looked back.